Hello and welcome to the Superbike Show. It's Motorsport Radio here. My name is Lester and thank you very much for joining us. We have on the show this evening, please welcome back Tristan Finocchiaro. Hello, Tristan.
Hi, Lester. How are we? It's good to be back.
Yeah, well, yeah. I see you brought a new selection of hair and not quite.
I think it's the same as the last time we went on air, actually. I managed to go like 2 months without changing it.
Well, at least you've coordinated your top anyway. But
yeah,
always the cutting edge of fashion.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
And also, talking about hair and fashion, it is Jay King.
Hello, Lester. It's great to be back. It's been far too long.
Yeah, so where have you been?
Well, just, doing this testing with the BSB, not doing any racing myself because it's been cancelled again. But, yeah, that's about it, really.
Okay, fair enough. And Tristan, where have you been? What have you been up to?
Crashing and hitting my head a lot and not much apart from that.
You mentioned that. I wasn't going to mention that, but okay.
Yeah,
Since
someone was going to mention it then.
Yeah, he had a learning test. Week.
That's what we'll call it.
Alton Park. You all right, though?
Yeah, it was only my head.
Yeah, it's only his head. Cracked his thingy right open. Skull.
Yeah.
Did. Anyway, welcome to the show. If you are tuned in listening live, thank you very much. And you can get in touch with us as usual. We've not got much lined up. We've only got a couple of big, massive names. Who've we got on the show, Tristan?
Yeah, so coming up, we're going to have the Superstock 600 title favourites for the 2021 season. Zach Corderoy and George Stanley, they're going to be coming up first on the show. We're also going to have some exclusive interviews with the British Superbikes, a couple of British Superbike riders. We've got Royal Air Force Kawasaki rider Ryan Vickers coming on, and of course the multiple-time British Supersport champion Jack Kennedy is going to be coming on and talking to us a little bit later as well. We're also going to be talking World Superbike and MotoGP a little bit later on and making some predictions on that. So hopefully Jay won't get them too wrong this time.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, although we've sort of it feels more like we've been off for 6 months or something, but it's actually only been 2 months. Believe it or not, I don't know. Yeah, because we have
already go slow when you're stuck at home.
We have already started the season, and yeah. So and we're well into testing as well. So BSB news and everything on the way. So yeah, any questions or comments, or I don't know, if you want to interact or have some bants with our guests, feel free. Add your comment in the comments box below. Tristan, a couple of bits of news before we get on to our first guests. What's going on?
Latest news, Jack Miller has renewed his factory Ducati contract for another year. He's had a couple of wins and he's extended his partnership with Ducati for a fifth year. Of course, it's going to be his second full season in factory colours, and after spending 3 years obviously with the satellite Pramac team as well. If you haven't seen it, Honda UK have also unveiled their new livery for the 2021 season, so go and check that out. That's going to be their livery that they're going to be using over in the British Superbike Championship and in the British Superstock 1000 category as well. Andrea Dovizioso, he's going to continue to work alongside Aprilia as a test rider for further in the 2021 season. He's got another test coming up at Misano in late June later in the year. For the Brits, Tom Booth Amos has become the first British rider to win a World Supersport 300 race at the weekend. He took his first victory in the category at the opening round of the World Superbike season at Aragon. We've also got a little bit of news, of course, yeah. We've also got a little bit of news on the TV side of things, the BSB TV news. Rounds 2, 3 and 4 of the 2021 British Superbike Championship will be broadcast live and free on Quest from Knockhill, Brands Hatch and Thruxton. That's going to be in addition to the usual coverage that we normally see over on Eurosport as well.
Fantastic, yes. And yeah, a big hello to everybody tuned in this evening, and regular listeners and viewers on the BSB Fans and Support Class Facebook group, in which the show, I think, is going out live, I hope. I don't know if I've pressed the right buttons. We will find out. But anyway, yeah, so a couple of bits of news, and interesting about Quest, that the rounds 2, 3 and 4 on there, not Eurosport. Just saying, if you just bought Eurosport Pass. Okay. But good news, I'll chalk that up to good news anyway. So, right, so because we've got a packed show on tonight's Superbike show on Motorsport Radio, let's get straight on with the guests. Tristan, who's our first people?
Like I said before, we're going to have two of the championship favourites going into the Superstock 600 2021 championship. It's Zach Corderoy and George Stanley. How are we, guys?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, not bad, thanks. All good here.
All good. Awesome to see you both on the show. Of course, both you guys, you know each other quite well, but you're also both looking pretty strong on circuit as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a good couple of tests so far. Just the one off so far, but yeah, feeling good. Can't wait to get back out at Donington in a couple of weeks and get some more testing in. Really enjoying the new bike. Really competitive package this year. Binch done a really good job with that, and really looking forward to it.
And of course, you guys know each other quite close off the track as well, don't you?
Yeah, doing some training together over the winter. Well, less over the winter, more obviously in the last couple of weeks when we can actually meet up and do stuff, and then obviously doing some Zwift racing and stuff like that. But me and Zach have known each other like all the way back to super teens when we were like 12, 13 years old. So, still getting on all right for now. So
yeah. Until the racing starts.
Yeah. It all changes when you get on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for those who don't know, obviously, George racing for the Ready for Racing team run by Gina Rear on the Kawasaki 636. And Zach, yourself, you're going to be riding the Yamaha with Binch Racing. Change of manufacturer as well for you this year. Do you two see each other as sort of championship rivals?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you obviously go into the season with a handful of names that are going to be up there, and he's definitely on the list.
Yeah. Obviously, especially with Zach being so strong at the first test. I mean, I knew Zach was going to be quick anyway, and obviously when he's done a lot of it himself, obviously being able to go with the team, I knew he was going to be even stronger than he was previously. So it makes for a good championship, and there'll definitely be some good people. But I'd say Zach's definitely number one on my list for championship challenge.
So obviously, I mean, you guys training together as well. That's not, I mean, I wouldn't say that's usual to see for two people that are most likely going to be going for the championship. Do you guys get competitive when you're training together as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't avoid that. Yeah, we're doing these Zwift races throughout the winter. Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, it's good though because it keeps you pushing. I think it's good to have some healthy rivalries as well as obviously you can also not like some of your rivals, but it's at the end of the day it's racing, and we know what happens on track. Like if it comes down to last lap, it's
yeah, win or bin it.
But I think it's definitely good to have someone to push you off track as well as on track.
Yeah, it's good to see, and it's good to see that sort of that healthy relationship. Even though you guys are vying for it on track, you can push each other off track as well. You've also had a good chance to race against each other last season as well. You had some good battles last year.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really good year, competitive all the way through the class. To be honest, there's probably a good 10 riders that could have gone out there and battled for the win. But yeah, it's the same again this year, to be honest. There's a lot of riders that showed a lot of promise last year and no doubt going to carry it on this year.
A little bit different for you, Zach, this year, moving from, because obviously last year you ran on the Kawasaki, and this year moving over to the Yamaha, a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, first impressions of the bike, I mean, it's a great bike to ride, very user-friendly, bit different to the Kawasaki in the way that it delivers power and whatnot, but overall it's a spot on bike. I can't complain, to be honest. And like I said, the Binch boys have kind of gave me a proper good bike for this year. No excuses really.
For sure. I mean, last year you was running the ZX6, and then for the last round you ran the 636. Obviously the ZX6 wasn't quite the bike of choice, but I mean you showed that it was competitive. Now on the R6, what made you make that decision? Because you had to go on, you got to have a go on the 636 at the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, the old 600 that I was running all year just didn't quite have the guts on the 636s. It definitely handled a lot better. Jumping on 636 at the last round, we went up and down with suspension here, there, and everywhere. Just couldn't quite get it to click really. But from what I've heard, it was a bit of a gamble this year jumping on a bike that I've never rode before. But yeah, we took the gamble from what we've heard about the bike, and and I've really impressed so far.
What was the transition like? Was it an easy transition going into it, or did you have to change quite a few things?
Not really, not at all, to be honest. It was just, like I said, user friendly, so you could just jump on it and kind of just enjoy it really. I just loved it, to be honest.
And I mean, you've been looking really strong on the Yamaha and the testing, and we've already covered that. But George, I mean, you've had a good test also at Alton Park. You were top 3 pretty much the whole test. Do you think you've got what it takes to beat him on the Kawasaki on the 636?
Yeah, definitely. I think, definitely, 100%. I think we've made like some changes over the winter to the bike, and it does feel a lot better. And as well as obviously last year, it was kind of a shorter year. I started off on the MV Agusta, that didn't go to plan, so we had to switch to the Kawasaki, and then it was like we didn't know any of the settings. Like it was a complete blank canvas, and that was obviously. I'd never worked with a team before, and we were all new to each other, we had to like work it out as quick as we could. And by the last round, we were at the front. Well, to be fair, a couple of rounds I showed pace, but then at the last round, definitely we were battling at the front. So with the improvements we've made for this year, I definitely think that I have a chance for the championship. And I definitely think I don't think anyone will be running away with the races, but I think it'll be a close championship this year.
I mean, it's quite a decision to move bike manufacturer halfway through the season. What was the main? Did you think that the MV had what it takes to win races, or what was the sort of main reason for the move?
Yeah, no, I think the MV was like a great bike. Like I would have loved to actually do the season on it. It handled like awesome. Like it's definitely out of the bikes that I've ridden, I'd probably say it's the best handling bike I've ever ridden. But it was just that the reliability was just it nothing but spill oil everywhere and blow up. So I didn't actually get a chance to ride it. So that's the main reason we had to switch, is because I mean it was costing the team quite a lot of money to keep on rebuilding it, and then you get nothing for it. So and it was like massively down on power. I was always like last in the speed traps, but that's the main reasons why we actually had to switch.
And I mean, Zach, you switched not manufacturer, but you switched bike right at the end last year, as we touched on before. When you did that, you were very, very close to the championship, and you possibly could have won it if everything went right on that last round. Do you think perhaps moving to the 636? So I think if you stayed on the ZX6 for that final round, the bike that you were familiar with, that things could have gone a different way. Yeah,
that was quite a big gamble for me. To be fair, the championship was a bit too far away to get. Ben was a good fair few points ahead by that time. We took a gamble. Leon gave me the opportunity to ride his bike that weekend. We took it. Didn't pay off. We dropped from second in the championship to third. But that year, all I wanted to do was go out and win the championship. Second and third, to me, didn't really matter that much. And the fact that it was far too gone, we took the gamble and it didn't pay off. So,
but you didn't think that staying on the 636 was what you wanted to do for this year? Then what was it? Did you get on with the 636, or was it just you preferred the Yamaha, or the idea of the Yamaha?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 636 had its issues. A lot of chattering problems on the front end for me. And what I've heard from other people, it wasn't too user friendly. So we jumped ships and we gave the Yamaha a go.
Obviously, I mean, George, you're riding that bike. A lot of the field is. I am as well. what would you say are sort of what puts your confidence in the bike?
Well, I don't think it's too bad. I think it's obviously it's different to the old 600 in the handling wise, just because of the design of the bike. It's not built for racing. But no, I think it's sharp off the turns. It steers well. I think once you get it in the working window, I think it's a great bike. Like it's shown. It's won the championship. Obviously last year with Ben. I mean, Ben just. He smoked everyone pretty much. He won most of the races of the year, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the bike. No. Definitely, like Zach said before, like obviously the speed's good with the 636 and it does handle well, and especially like with the changes we've made this year, it handles even better than before. So really happy with it.
Yeah, like you say, it's a proven bike. It's won the championship. It was very close to winning the championship the year before as well. Zach, moving a little bit more to sort of your career, not quite before Stock 6, but sort of before last year. I mean, I think it's safe to say you had it a little bit rough up until before last year. You missed a few rounds. I mean, you'd won the two Aprilia championships, then came over into Stock 6. It was a little bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, was it the start of 2018? We did start doing the Stock 6 class. And we had a couple of big crashes, wrote the bike off twice by third round. That kind of had to call it quits from there, really. We just couldn't afford to do the rest of the season. Things become, just very expensive. Yeah. And just a few problems at home and stuff like that. The family just meant we had to kind of... What I thought was going to be the end of my racing career, to be honest. I thought that was it. We stopped riding for a year and a half. We dabbled at the end of 2019. We thought we'd do a few club rounds, see how we get on. Trained really hard, and then come back fighting fit at the start of last year, and kind of done a fair bit better than we expected, really, and here we are, really. Yeah.
And now you're going into a season, and you're a very, very strong championship favourite.
Yeah, I mean, yes, very unexpected turn over these last few years, and I can't thank my family enough, really, and the sponsors that I've got on board. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I just wouldn't be here doing what I love doing.
No, this was awesome to see, awesome to hear. We've established that you two are going to be up the front end. Anyone else that you guys is going to see as a threat to the championship this year?
Yeah, I think definitely Joe Talbot, because he's so young and he's out quite a lot, and he does the business at no limits, and also he is fast. Like, he showed that he was fast in his first year of Stock 600 last year. And like, I've ridden with him, and you can see when somebody can ride, and like, he can definitely ride. I think that's definitely him. I think he's probably the biggest one, and James Alderson as well. When Alderson, like when he's riding well, he is very quick as well.
Yeah, showed a lot of potential at the Alton Park test. I mean, no doubt Liam Delves will be up there. And a few others definitely.
Thing with the Stock 6 class as well, there's always surprises, and there's always sort of names that you didn't quite expect to be there as well. That, I mean, once the season starts, it could be completely different to what everyone predicted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just depends how hard you train over pre-season, to be honest. Things can change quite drastically over the winter, and people, they just come back fighting stronger.
I think sometimes as well, it depends on the situation of the person, on like money wise and stuff. A lot of the time, like if you're testing, might literally just be getting bike time for people, because if they crash, it could be over before it's even started. So like you said, like somebody could literally just be sandbagging massively because they just are riding, and then once they get to the race meeting, that's when they really get their race head on, and obviously crashing goes out the window, and it's just what they can do to win then.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. You see, I'm just 5 seconds off the pace. It's just as soon as I put them fresh tyres in, I'll be up with you guys.
I've got a bit of a question for all three of you, really, because you're all in the same championship. Obviously, this season you guys haven't had the chance to go over to Spain. All the testing has been over here in England, and the weather hasn't been really that great either. Snetterton was a bit of a washout. Have you guys preferred testing over in England here, or would you rather be back in Spain testing at the moment?
No, definitely.
You'd rather be a Cartagena, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, soaking up the sunshine, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I just feel like I'm slightly behind, because it just feels like all the things that I would have done in Spain, I'm doing an official test, and it just doesn't feel right to me. I mean, maybe it might be different for you, George, because you had like a year on the bike last year and with the team last year, so you've already you're just carrying the same bike over into the next year. But I sort of feel like sort of being held back a little bit, because I would have done those things in Spain before. But then at the same time, everyone's in the same boat, because no one really managed to get out there.
I think it's good I much prefer riding with other fast people than I do riding on track days a lot of the time, just because track days you might get 1 or 2 clear laps a session. So at least on a test, like, everyone there is competitive, and also you can see other people, and I do think it brings you on in that aspect. But then, like you said, another thing is that it's 3 degrees and raining, so
yeah.
doing any riding. So that's the only thing. But I probably prefer being out there with other people the same speed as me. I just feel like it brings you on a lot more and makes you actually push harder and find out what you need to get out of the bike.
I could imagine it's been really annoying for people this season, like you guys who have got to learn a new bike, and obviously in Spain you'd just be out there doing constant laps, and this year you've been, like I said, Snetterton, I think Max did about 12 laps over the 2 days, and yeah, it's just no fun sitting in the pits all day, is it?
No, exactly. And the only thing that's different to Spain and here is the tracks. Tracks over there are just so much grippier. Beyond, much better than the ones over here. But
hopefully Donington will be nice and warm, and we can everyone will get some good time on the bike.
Yeah, for sure. It is good, to be fair, testing on the tracks you're going to be racing on. We would rather be. We go to Spain for a reason, so we would rather be over there. But at the same time, there are some positives to it.
Talking about the championship coming up, obviously with Stock 600s, you only get 1 race a weekend, and from previous championship winners, it's been very important to have a consistent season. Do you guys go into a race and, I don't know, maybe there's a second and a half to the leader and you're gradually catching them up? Do you guys settle for that second and think of the championship, or do you guys put your head into it and you're going out there to win race whatever the outcome?
I think I don't think you should be thinking about the championship, and that's the way you're riding. Like, if you think, you just start riding tight. So I think the best thing to do, I think what a lot of people do, is they just go out and race by race, just try and win it as much as they can, and then see what happens at the end of the season. Because at the same time, you could settle for a second, and you could still fall off because you've lost your concentration, and you thought, well, I've just pushed and tried to win it rather than crash it settling. And plus, no one cares about second, like that. They obviously don't, and people do notice when you push for a win and crash, and they definitely notice when you settle for a second place. And I think Stock 600 and the lower classes definitely aren't classes that you need to be settling for a second. I think that's for the more important classes like the Superbikes and even Stock 1000, where there's a lot on the line. Whereas Stock 600, it's more about getting your name out there and personal pride, whereas the bigger classes have manufacturers and sometimes wages like riding on them.
Yeah, great answer.
Yeah, definitely. Got to go prove yourself every race, and that's it really. Yeah.
And I think it's something Jonathan Ray said once, is that the best way that he found to win a championship was just to keep winning.
Well, that's he definitely.
if you can do that, if you can pull it off.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure. Let's say you guys, you're looking strong. So let's say you guys finish top 3 this year, somewhere in the top 3, and because then it's once you finish in top 3, you have to move on or move up. What would be next for you? I'll start with you, Zach.
I don't even know yet. I'm just taking a year as it goes. Ideally, I'd like to move up to Super Sport for me. That would be the ideal move, but it just depends what we can afford to do.
Sure, for sure. And George?
Yeah, I don't really mind which class. Obviously, I've done Stock 1000 before, and I wasn't I could get top 10 results, and a few of the races I had the pace to be higher than that. If I hadn't qualified bad, and I think if I went back there with what I'd learned and with my head in the right place, then I think I could definitely do a lot better.
What made you come back to Stock 6?
Just money. It was the same. Well, it's a slightly different situation to Zach, but me and my dad were paying for everything ourselves, apart from Hawk. They gave us the bike and we paid for the rest. So obviously, like that, without them, I wouldn't have been racing at all. But it was costing us like so much money, and it was literally I was finished. I couldn't do any more racing basically, and then R4R gave me like a deal that I couldn't turn down, and obviously I had to come to Stock 600. But I think it's definitely good to hopefully win some races this year and then progress back to Stock 1000 with some more confidence.
What was the transition like moving back? Because obviously you'd done it before.
Yeah, no, I think it was made harder by the way the season was, and also just like I said, the team were trying to sort a bike out in like so little time, so it was hard to get used to it. But obviously it's different to 1000. Like 1000, you constantly wrestling it. It just wants to wheel its head off. It's just like they are animals, to be fair. And then Stock 600 definitely felt a lot.
It must have felt like it was broken.
Yeah. Time I rode it, I expected to I kind of when I was riding Stock 1000, I was thinking, I'd love to have a go on a 600 now and feel what it's like. And then when I got back on the 600, I was like, wow, I didn't realise. I took for granted how fun 1000 is, like all over the place.
No, but it's good to see that there's an option as well for you to come back and drop into Stock 600, and because obviously money's a big thing in racing, especially at the moment. So it's good that that there's that option that if you want to keep racing, you can come and take a couple of years in a lower class and then use that experience to then move up and go back into what you were doing before.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate. To be fair, it was Stuart Higgs that kind of gave me dispensation for that, because you weren't really meant to do it. But I think he kind of understood the situation I was in and like gave me the chance to actually be able to do it, which I am grateful for, because otherwise that would have been it in 2019. I'd have been finished and like nothing more I could do.
But now both of you looking strong for this season, and that's brilliant to see. So thank you both for coming on. It was brilliant to have you both on here, and brilliant to give it a little bit of light to Stock 6, because we've been ignoring it a little bit for a couple of reasons. But it's good to have you both on. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. And we will move on because we've got other guests coming up.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Yeah, as we say, other guests here on Motorsport Radio. That was a short jingle. There we go. Didn't really give me any time to load up the next guest, but
I wasn't even sure it was a jingle.
I found one lying around, an old one. But interesting chat though there from your rivals. Tristan.
Yeah, well, they're currently on the other side of the timesheets at the moment, but maybe hopefully by the end of the year they might be.
No, you're that guy who's sandbagging in testing.
I am sandbagging. I'm just.
Yeah, is that what we're saying? Okay.
At the moment, yeah.
Fair enough.
I haven't actually put a set of fresh tyres on yet, so as soon as I do, those 5 seconds will be gone.
Yeah, sure, okay. No, to be fair, I mean, you're in it to win it, so yeah, why not? I mean, anybody can. In theory, win it, but interesting to see which one of those, because let's say if you was to have a bet, Tristan, on the Stock 6 as we know it now, or to give it its official title, the Junior Super Stock. Did I get that right?
600.
Junior,
Yeah.
that's what it's called now.
Junior
Sorry,
Superstock.
I keep calling it Superstock 600. It's a bad habit. I'm
Not to be confused with Junior Supersport, which is also a thing. And not to be confused with Superstock, which is also a thing.
Which is which is what Stock 1000.
I'm gonna get so many memos from BSB saying don't say that and don't do that and don't say that.
We're just getting used to it. We'll have it down to a T by the end.
I don't know anything. But anyway, so yeah, interesting chat for those. And thank you very much for everybody who's so far tuned in, listening or watching the Superbike show, The Return, live here on Motorsport Radio. Thank you to, I just had my list of people up, but I've lost it now. But thank you anyway for tuning in and listening live. Get your questions to... our next guest, who is diligently waiting on the line. He's going to put his camera on very shortly, I'm reliably informed. But a big hello to Andrew Mallard as well, who's been popping in the comments and questions for our next guest, who is Tristan.
Fresh off a very successful test at Alton Park, third overall understandings for the test, riding for Lee Hardy like he has been for the couple of years on the Royal Air Force Kawasaki in the British Superbike Championship. First of all, congrats, Ryan, and welcome to the Superbike show.
Hi guys, how's it going? Have you got me?
I can't
We've
see.
got your audio.
I can't see you, Ryan, but we can definitely hear you.
How do I do this then?
There should be a button with a little video logo on it or something.
I explained this to my dad when he was...
There we go. Here we are.
Are we on?
Is that on? Hey, there we go.
Hey.
Perfect.
You got me?
Nice to see you. To see you, nice.
So how are we, Ryan?
Yeah, all good, thanks guys. Yeah, all good. Just chilling out, busy day. But yeah, just testing's obviously going well. We started really well this year, and a few new things changed in the team and bits and bobs. So yeah, really happy.
Yeah, it was good to see. It's nice to see your name up there. I'm going to do it slightly differently with you. We'll get to the BSB stuff a little bit later. I thought I'd start just by starting off with your history, how you got into it. I mean, the first I saw of you, you were riding CB500s in Thundersport.
Yeah, that's it, and that's pretty much where it started. To be honest, I mean, from this continuing point, we actually had a go in when I was 12 years old on the Stock 600. No, sorry, not Stock 600, the Aprilia Super Team. I did 6 rounds, doing my ACU license in that time, and we had a little go. But just couldn't continue financially and stuff like that. And I went back to motocross. And done British Championships and bits and bobs and Red Bull Pro Nationals and all this sort of stuff, arena cross. And then, to be honest, the main thing that stopped me with motocross is I injured my knee, done my ACL ligament, done that twice in the end. And it weren't easy. I mean, there was a lot of time off a ride in, and then by the time you come back, you'd lost so much on other riders. I just lost love in that a little bit, to be honest. So then I got the opportunity to have a go on a CB500, which was in Thundersport. I think it was 2015. 2015. So yeah, I did the last few rounds of the season in 2015. 2016 competed for the complete year. Got second in the championship in my first year, which was really good. I mean, to be honest, even still to this day, the CB500, what a bike! What a great fun bike.
It's still probably one of the most popular club sports in the country, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, from riding in it, I can see why. It's one as cheap as you're ever going to make motorbike racing. Like on proper circuits, you don't make it any more financially possible. If you crash the bike, it's like a handlebar, a brake lever, and a grip maybe, and a foot peg, like something like that. It costs you like 50 quid. So yeah, it's a great class, and to be honest, it teaches you a lot because there's not much technical thoughts or inputs or anything goes into it really. It's just learning how to ride a bike.
Yeah, because there's no suspension set up, is it?
No,
it's literally you go out there and you ride as hard as possible.
Yeah, the bike is never right. It's absolutely terrible, really. But you get so much out of it because you just learn to ride around problems. And that's a good skill to have moving forward, you know. You have got to develop a skill of setting a bike up really well, but also if you're, say, in a race and the bike isn't quite where you would like it, it's very, very useful to be able to ride around these problems.
You said, girl, carry on.
No, that's about it, really.
Yeah. You said you came, like, obviously you didn't come the traditional way, which a lot of the youngsters come through now, like either Fab or BMB or things like that. Did you, when you were racing motocross, did you always want to come to road racing, or was motocross something you wanted to do for the rest of your career?
Yeah, motocross was the only thing I sort of wanted to do. I mean, tarmac racing was boring. Like, never wanted to watch it. My dad has always loved it, always watched it on the TV. And to the point where I wouldn't even watch it on the TV. Like, I'd just go on, I don't know, go on my push bike and do some wheelies up and down the road or something. Like,
you've ruined one of my questions later. I was going to ask who was your idol when you were younger, but that's throwing that one out the window.
Yeah, James Stewart. That's like the guy. James Stewart and Ricky Carmichael were like the two guys. Absolutely love watching them. Chad Reed as well. Like, those three, just such big names throughout motocross, and they were my idols growing up, really. Obviously, I knew of Valentino Rossi and I knew of all those guys just because of my dad's love for it. So that was my sort of. It is weird how it come along. I mean, as soon as I got on the bike in not 2012, when I was 12, I think it was around that time. But when I first got on a bike, I loved it. I really did like to it, and I gelled to it quite well as well. I did well in the super teams when I did have a go. So as soon as I got that little foot in the door, I sort of knew to myself that is what I wanted to do. But to be honest, I didn't think it was possible because it was just so lucky that the opportunity come about that someone wanted to put me on a CB500. And without that opportunity, we would have just maybe done a bit of motocross, and I would have been doing engineering.
I mean, like you say, it's really not a traditional route, or not probably. I don't think a route that any BSB or any British Superbike rider that I know of anyway has gone through.
I think James Toseland rode CB500s. I think that's all I really think of.
Proves to be a good route. Then maybe more people should try it out.
I remember.
Did you ever expect
comparing my lap time to his at Cadwell, and I beat his lap time, which I was at the time I was well happy with that.
Did you ever expect to be? I mean, to get to how as far as you have, considering you started out on. I mean, what's essentially sort of a club racing fun sort of class,
and in 5 years as well.
Yeah, definitely not this quickly. That's for sure. Obviously, I've always been motivated to win and to do well, no matter what I've done, to be honest. So I always had ambitions of, as soon as I saw I'd done the sport, I'd love to get a MotoGP. That was like my ultimate goal. I mean, the British Superbikes didn't really think of it, to be honest, until I'd sort of stock 600 and stuff like that. And then you learn about these things because I was very fresh to it. I didn't really know the options too well. I didn't know the routes and the paths and stuff like that. And that just develops over time. You get knowledge of what things may come available and what's best to do to get to places you want to get to. So it was, yeah, it's definitely something that I wanted to do, get on a Superbike or a MotoGP bike, something like that. But in 5 years, it's definitely quicker than what I thought. And yeah, it's amazing to have done it.
Then, I mean, your next step after CB500 is you went over into Superstock 600. You did 2 years in Superstock 600 before you moved up, but you were pretty quick from the get go. You were already bagging podiums in your first year.
Yeah, it's the thing is we had a tough year. I mean, we started with a team and stuff, and for whatever reason we split ways, and we had to be honest, at that point I thought that was it. It was over again because we had financial support, and then we was left with nothing. Luckily, some of my family members put in everything they could, and we managed to build our own team, get our own bikes within, I think it was 4 weeks between Donington and Alton. And we managed to get a couple of bikes and build a race truck and all sorts of stuff. Like, we did absolutely everything, build a bike, and we went racing at Alton Park. And from that point on, we progressed. Even my first race with our own bike and our own team, we got a 5th place at Alton, which was a massive improvement from where we were. And then we finished the year really, really strong. The last 3 rounds, we got a 3rd, a 2nd, and then a 1st in that order of the last 3 rounds. And that was awesome. It really was good for my first season in Stock 600s, considering the first race of the season was at Donington Park, and we was 18th, 19th, 20th through the practice sessions, qualifying, and all of this. So it was a massive progression through the whole year, and it was good. I'm glad I made that tough step, because sometimes it's easier when you're thrown in at the deep end, because the way I thought of it was, well, everyone that comes past me has got more experience and is faster. And that was pretty much it. Everyone in the class was at that point, you know. So you learn a lot. You learn very quickly when you're in that position at the back as such.
And I mean, it was a pretty impressive debut, of course, winning on the final round of the year. Do you think that sort of helped your mindset going into the next year? Because I mean, maybe if you'd finished 2nd and you'd gone into it sort of regretting not getting that final win, do you think that helped you getting that final win at the end of the year? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's more of it just gives you that feeling, you know, of winning. It's a different feeling, you know, from coming 3rd and 2nd, getting on a podium is amazing. Like, I remember the first time I got on the podium, it was the best feeling ever. But until you win your first race, and then you go, wow, this is different, you know. It's a different feeling, it's a different motivation, and it really just triggers that in your head, like, I can do it, you know. And going into that next year with the experience we had, and also I was learning a lot of new tracks as well in that first year. Coming from Thundersport and stuff, there's a lot of tracks we didn't go to, so, or different track variations, you know, maybe it was a national circuit of another circuit. So there was a lot of learning to do in that year. So it was positive. So once we finished that strong at a circuit that was a new circuit for me, Brands GP circuit, I thought if we could be strong here at the end of the year, and now we've been and got gearing and basic stuff for all of the circuits, we can really hit the ground running in the following year. Do you think you sort of turned a few heads in that year? I think so. I mean, especially in the last 2 rounds. But the thing is, I was very under the radar at that time, you know, so I don't know how many people, is in the sense of, if you talk in Superbike teams, people see much of it. I don't know. It's difficult. I definitely think the 2018 season, we had a lot of interest, but I think as well that helped because we was supported by Yamaha as such. We had more of a name, you know. It was a better approach. The whole thing was there, if you know what I mean. And going into that year, people knew I could win. They knew I was going to be a competitor for the championship. So people were more. How much did that help, having that backing and that sort of that professional approach to it? It's in the sense of actually running a team, barely anything, but it was very good. I mean, even like moving forward into Superbikes and stuff, and speaking to people now, they were impressed with how, like, even just visually, like the team's visual image was very good, as in the sense of, because we was helped by Yamaha, we had to run it in all of the proper, like, factory colours. All of our teamwear had to be the proper, like, Yamaha stuff. Everything was dead right, you know. It was like the colours and everything like that was exactly like a Superbike team. So it looked very professional, and a lot of people have praised how professional it looked. And I think that helped
as well, moving into a more professional team as in Superbikes, it helped that transfer because we was already running it more like that sort of environment. So it makes it less of a step and less, I don't know the word, but like overwhelming, you know, it made it feel all a little bit more normal. So I think it helped more in that sense. And also the press stuff and stuff like that. The Yamaha UK were posting about our results and this, that, and the other, and it all helps. You know, Yamaha UK is a massive, got massive pages, millions of people on their Facebook page, and that sort of reach does help get people to at least get to know you. You know.
And the main thing that probably, that definitely that got you out there and got your name out there and got people looking was, I mean, the utter domination and the riding itself. Obviously, you completely dominated the year. And I mean, I'm riding in stock 6 this year, so I'd kind of like to know how you did it.
To be fair, it's actually pretty cool. I mean, I've had a lot of people like ask me for gearing and setup and all of that. My dad, like, to be fair, helps him out a lot. Which is really good. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, if anyone needs any help.
Is he gone?
We might have lost him.
Just as he was about to give you all his secrets as well. He's gearing. Oh, he's back.
He got me.
That's the old Norfolk internet, that.
Is my face all the way in the camera? I feel like I'm like really like off one side of it.
Now you're in.
Now you're
Is that better? Is that all right?
Looking good, Ryan. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was just saying that. So we've had a lot of people ask us for help, like settings and gearing and all of this sort of stuff. And like my dad helps them out a lot at the race weekends and stuff like that, because if anyone asks me for any help, like if I can help, I will help. I mean, it's I know the situation when you're trying to progress and stuff like that. I mean, if I didn't have some help off of lots of people throughout the time that I was in stock 600, CB 500s, all of this sort of stuff, then I wouldn't have got to where I have so easily. You know, it just the biggest sort of things that I've ever been taught. Not so much with riding. Not many people have really helped massively with riding, because I think with riding you've kind of got to figure it out a little bit yourself, because the limit is the limit, you know, and you can explain it to someone, but until you actually feel it yourself and go past that point and understand what you've got to do to get to that point, is a very niche feeling, you know. It's something that someone's just got to work out. But a lot of the things that I have been taught that have helped me is just where you can eliminate silly mistakes, you know. Even whether it's just getting ready and stuff like that, getting ready in plenty of time, like just basic stuff like that, just so you're not rushing, not late, not doing anything stupid before you've even got to the point of worrying about racing, you know. It's just eliminating mistakes before you've even got to the track, like preparing your stuff, making sure everything's ready, so you're not out there with, I don't know, a visor that's got a flipping like an inner wrap still on it or something. You can't see properly. Just stupid stuff like that does happen. And it's just all that sort of stuff. And if you can eliminate all them sort of things that can possibly go wrong, you've got a lot better chance of doing the best thing you can on the track then. And if nothing's ever wrong before you get there, you can improve. If you're constantly working on like silly things, you know, whatever it is, gloves didn't feel right or this, that and the other, you don't want to be thinking about that. You want to be thinking about your riding, whatever else. And I think as well, a big thing is not overcomplicate it. Like, don't worry about too much of the bike setup and things like that. Just go out and ride the bike. I mean, a good example is one, the CV 500, and two, most riders have like a little pit bike or something like that we go-kart tracks on. Like, you tell me, when's the last time you played with suspension settings on that? It's like you don't ever do it. You pump the tires up roughly like 20 psi. Yeah, stick it in, go, and you go out there and you ride it so hard. Like you can push it so hard because all you do is laps, and that's the best thing you can do is just do laps. You'll learn so much more.
For sure. I mean, for you, I mean, was it always the plan to move straight to BSB after Stock 6?
No, not at all. Not at all. Until we got talking with Lee, until Lee approached me and said he was interested, then it wasn't even a consideration because there wasn't any other options in Superbike. The next step was Supersport. I obviously did the wildcard in World Championship in the World Supersport. And there was some potential options, but I don't think they would have been possible financially and stuff like that. So obviously when the Superbike option come up, it sort of really, really focused our attention on that because it was the best option for me at that time, definitely. So it really did. It changed a lot, really. I mean, I sort of thought of it of maybe doing more the 600 route and trying to go Moto2 through World Supersport, or whatever, British Supersport, World Supersport, Moto2, and doing it that way. But it sort of it changed a lot from Lee approaching us the opportunity in Superbike.
I mean, did you ever sort of worry that it was too early to maybe moving on to Superbike? Did you ever think maybe that a step in Stock 1000 or a step in Supersport might have been a better option for you?
No, not at all. And I definitely have not been wrong in saying that. Simply being because you learn how you like to work over time, And no matter what I've done, whether it's motocross, whether it's going from CB500 to Stock 6, I work better when I've got a challenge. I like that. It's not pressure. I can't call it pressure, but I like being at the bottom of the class and working my way up. I find it's the easiest way I learn. If I'm surrounded by good or great riders, I learn a lot quicker. At Superbikes, it was a completely different level of going from the CB500 to Stock 600, but it's the same process. It's the same process. It's the same approach. It just takes a little bit longer. And that's not even just from a riding point of view. That's from teams learning how the rider needs to ride, how the rider needs his bike. It's so different. And coming from a Stock 600, you have to ride the bike so much differently. It's not just getting on it and riding it as hard as you can. You can do that. And that's what I did pretty much at the start of the year and got some decent results with it, got some top 10s. But you get to a point where you can't progress. You can't go any faster, even though I'm at my limit. I'm at the limit of the tire, but I can't push any further because I'm not utilizing it in the right way. There's a different way to get more out of the tire, and it's just understanding what you've got to do, and then that changes so much. Bike setup wise, it changes so much, and you go back and forward so many times, and there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of crashes, but there's a lot of good times, and a lot of good results. So it's one of them. It's a process that I think a lot of people learn when they go to Stock 1000, especially more so racecraft wise, when knowing to be careful, when what corners, with the powerful brakes and more powerful engines, stuff like that, where okay, there is a little bit of a dip in the tarmac. You have got to be a bit careful here on the gas, left side of the tire on a Stock 600 on exit of corners. As long as you wasn't carrying stupid amount of lean angle, then it's not going to let go, And on a Superbike, you don't have to be carrying barely any lean angle, and you high side it. It's very easy to get caught out, and that's what most of my crashes, incidents have been. It's just being caught out,
Sure.
I think of. Oh, am I back?
Yeah, sorry. I think you just dipped for a second, but you're still with us.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so that's basically it, really. It's just big learning curve, you know.
For sure. What was the team like to work with? I mean, obviously, because they were very aware of your situation, that you were very new to jumping onto the Superbike. How were they in that process?
Yeah. Hang on, let me just... Hello?
We still there?
Oh, that might be better now. I've turned off my Wi-Fi.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the team were amazing. Honestly, it's been great working with them. I mean, Lee and stuff like that. He's very good with not putting any pressure on me and just letting me learn and giving me the best opportunity to learn. Really, especially with a no pressure environment. I think most other teams, if I'd had the first 2 years that I've had, like crashing wise, I don't think I'd probably be with them. You know, there is a few more opportunities in Superbikes now. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of them things that Lee's been very good with giving me time. You know, understanding that it is a big jump. And that's an easy thing to forget when you're paying for a lot of crash damage and bits and bobs like that. It's very easy for teams for team bosses, you know, they're under a lot of pressure from sponsors and bits and bobs like that. It's very easy for them to get heat of the moment and like throw in a towel, like, no, you're done sort of thing. And that's the end of it. And he's been amazing like that. I can't thank him enough for sticking by me and giving me the chance to show my full potential.
Yeah, and of course now still with them now as well. And your Alton test went well. At least on the timing sheets, it looked like it went well. I mean, how does it feel, race pace wise and everything wise?
Yeah, really good. I mean, the first two tests, to be honest, have been very good. The Alton Silverstone test was just about getting back out there, getting back used to the bike and new parts on the bike and a few different bits. So we're just bedding ourselves back in. But by the end of the test, we'd done our fastest ever time around Silverstone by half a second. And half a second at Silverstone is
massive.
10, 12, 15 places at times, you know. It's a massive difference. It goes from where I qualified last year, I think it was 13th or 14th, into the top 5. So it's strong. And I mean, we didn't even use the new tyre, which a lot of, I'm not saying everybody, I don't know the full statistics, but a lot of people in the last few runs put on the SCX tyre, even though we're not allowed to race on it at Silverstone. But people do it. They want to test it for whatever reasons, or just to get up the timesheets a bit. So to finish like top 5 in that last session on the SC0 tyre, which we had very good race pace on. So really, really happy with that test. And then Alton Park, we learnt a lot from Silverstone, but to be honest, we got a little bit limited with where we were progressing with the bike with a new crew chief. We're changing the bike a lot compared to where we've been in the previous years, sort of having a look at where I've struggled in previous years and where we need to improve. We've actually made some big changes, and we kind of got to a point at Silverstone where we actually got limited of how far we could go with the bike. So the team worked really hard between Silverstone and Alton to actually modify some areas of the bike so we could go further with this change, just because it was limited with like space and stuff like that, with radiators and bits and bobs. So the team worked really, really hard to give us the best opportunity of exploring more of these areas. And we did that at Alton and transformed the bike, you know, really, really transformed it. A lot of the problems and stuff that I've been having in the last few years, near enough completely eliminated, which was very positive. But I'm not saying that we've changed it. I mean, it's one of these things that you've got to be patient with. You've got to test it at a few different places, and it'll be interesting to go to Knockhill and Donington, and with a very, very similar bike, not changing much. And if it works, we've got a very good solid base setting for the whole year. That's the bike that we'll turn up to pretty much most events and start with. Because even like I was saying with like stock 600 and stuff, like not overcomplicating stuff, it's very easy to in superbikes. Like once you're happy, it's like it's better to just not change much and go out there and ride the bike.
Yeah,
you can overcomplicate it, end up doing very minimal laps in a weekend, and actually feeling like you've not turned enough laps to feel comfortable anyway. So yeah, it's been going really well. I mean, Alton again, I done my fastest ever time around there, which would have put me, I think, P2 on the grid last year. It was 6 tenths quicker than my best ever time around there, and we done a few 30-4s, and it was relatively easy. And that was the first ever time we'd used a qualifying tyre. So it was good. And I mean, to be able to get the most out of that tyre, there's actually a bit more work that we need to do, bike setting wires and stuff like that. So it's it's positive stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. What's your sort of expectations going into the season then?
Just to make the best out of every weekend, of what I can. Whether that's because there is going to be weekends where we are finding it tough. As much as testing's gone well, I know it from the last couple of years. There's always going to be weekends where you want that little bit more, where you're not quite where you want it to be. But as long as we can make the best situation out of every situation we get, whether that's a bad weekend and we can sacrifice a few points, then that's what we've got to do. I don't want to be on the floor. And to be honest, with the feeling that we've been getting in testing, with the way that we're going with the bike, I can feel where the bike is on the front now, and that's where I've always struggled. So really, really happy with how that's going, and hopefully we can just continue our work. And I think we can see some good results if we continue working the way we are. And I mean, Alton Park was the first time that we'd sort of changed something big on the bike. I mean, you never know, we can go a little bit more and it could feel a lot better. We've just got to keep our heads down and keep working hard, and I think we can have some good results.
Would you say there's any more pressure this year to get results now that you've had a couple of years in the class?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of them. I mean, like Lee said at the start of the year, he said, like, we do need to get some results this year, but to be honest, I don't feel it as pressure, Mm-hmm. I believe I can do it 100%. I've not thought that for any minute. It's just been for whatever reason on that weekend that I've just struggled. I've just not been able to do it. I mean, but we have had some good results throughout the couple of years. So even the team can see that I've got the speed and I can do it when it's all going well. It's just trying to find that consistency. Trying to replicate that more often. And that's what it's about. It's all about learning. So I mean, yeah, I think pressure-wise, it's not at all. If anything, I don't know. If anything, it motivates you more. It's part of it. If I can't deal with this pressure, then
for sure
there's not a motorbike racing career in it for me. Like, it's one of them. There's going to be a lot more pressure one day when you're potentially battling for a championship and it's last race sort of thing. It's it's one of them. It's absolutely fine. I like it.
Yeah, there's always pressure. And just quickly before you go, because we do have we've got Jack Kennedy waiting for us as well for our next interview. After BSB, where do you see yourself? Moto2, World Superbike? Where do you think?
What's that? Sorry, I didn't.
Sorry, no, it's okay. After BSB, where do you see yourself going? Moto2 or to something like that?
It's difficult. I mean, it depends it depends where I get to in BSB first. But it depends what doors open. I mean, I've learned in BSB, there's a lot to do with what machinery you're on, and if you're not on a good bike, then it don't matter how good of a ride you are. So it's very much of what door opens. And, you know, with the racing, there's a lot of, especially Moto2, MotoGP, that paddock, there's a lot of good up-and-coming young riders as well. We're talking like 16, 17 years old. So it's very difficult to see the opportunity before you get there. You know, it's one of those things about timing, massively about timing. So to be in the right place at the right time, it's difficult to plan from now. So all I can do is just do the best I can throughout the years I'm in BSB, and then hopefully the dream sort of opening, whether that's whatever, a factory ride, World Superbikes, whether it's a great team in Moto2. It's the only way I'd move. You know, I wouldn't move on to something where I don't believe it's possible to do a good job. I'd rather stay on a good package in BSB and win podiums and stuff like that.
Perfect. Well, we'll wish you the best of luck with it. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Hopefully we'll get you back on somewhere in the mid-season. Best of luck for the season, and we'll be watching.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Right. Let's. Oh dear. Well, I've been having a couple of little issues with my audio.
Really? Can't hear it?
Yeah, I can't notice.
I don't know. Every single week, I talk about other people and
their audio.
The irony is that I'm having whatever. Shall we just move on to the next guest? Who is Tristan?
Multiple British Supersport champion, returning to the class for 2021 and doing it in style, topping the Alton Test last time out. We have Jack Kennedy joining the show. Not a bad start to your year, Jack.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I suppose we haven't had a lot of track time yet. We had a okay time at Silverstone, but Snetterton wasn't great. You know, with the 2 days we got really hampered by weather and temperature. So Alton Park is probably us finally sort of getting some sort of feel and set up for the bike. And we changed suspension manufacturer as well from Snetterton to Alton Park as well. So there's a lot to get used to and a lot to feel for at the minute, but so far I'm pretty happy.
I mean, I might be stating the obvious here, but I'm assuming the goal is to win the championship.
Yeah, definitely. That's what Kawasaki want me to do, really. They want me to put the 636 on the map, and providing I win the Supersport Championship, I've got a Superbike ride with Kawasaki the year. That's definitely me. I'm going out to win races and win the championship. Yeah, I'm not going out to make up the numbers, that's for sure.
Of course, and I mean the Kawasaki's been a rider that we've a bike rather that we've seen really strong in the stock class. Hasn't quite been able to beat the Yams in the Supersport class. I'm assuming you have full faith in it.
Yeah, look, the bike feels really strong. I feel it's got great potential, and I think it's only early days with the bike, because we don't even really have a good base setting that we know that will do us for all the tracks. So as I said, we've changed suspension manufacturer as well to K-Tech. So we're trying to understand a lot of things at the minute and what works best for the bike, because it's a little bit different to the Kawasaki 600. So none of the all data and stuff like that really works for the bike. So yeah, we've a lot to figure out, but I feel like the bike's got great potential, and I've got a great team around me as well. So I've full faith in everyone to get the job done this year.
What's that like moving from? Because I'm assuming obviously most of the time most setups tend to be on Öhlins. What's that like moving from that to a manufacturer like K-Tech?
Well, we actually started the season on Mupo suspension, which is an Italian brand. The team wanted me to try it, so we gave it a go, and we were just struggling to find any feel really with the rear, and we put the K-Tech in, and I got the feeling that I needed from the rear straight away. I really struggled in Silverstone to get feel on the rear, and with a Supersport bike as well, coming from a Superbike, you really have to open the gas hard on the side of the tyre on a Supersport bike to get the lap time, whereas it's the last thing you want to do on a Superbike, or else you'll end up in the sky. So I was really struggling for lap time in Silverstone, but I just couldn't get the feel that I needed to open the gas on the side of the tyre, and I started nearly not doubting myself, but thinking this is going to be a harder switch back than what I thought it would be. But as soon as we put the K-Tech in Oulton Park, I got that feel that I needed, and I suppose it showed in the lap time.
Yeah, I mean, this year as well, going against your old team, they're looking pretty strong as well with Brad Peary on the Yamaha.
Yeah, they've got a great young rider lineup this year. Brad Peary showed a good potential last year and topping a few sessions and qualifying on pole and stuff like that. And young Rhys Irwin as well, who I've been helping really come up really, and since he came over to the UK and stuff like that, him and his brother Keelan. So I have a great relationship with them too, and it's great to see them get the opportunity with the Appleyard McCallum team, because they're such a fantastic team. So it'll be strange battling against them this time instead of riding for them.
But now, I mean, you've won with them, so now it's all the incentive to go out and beat them.
Yeah, definitely. You know, they're the benchmark. They're the team that have, won the most British Supersport championships. So I suppose I'll just have to go out and beat them this time.
For sure. I mean, also with the Kawasaki, we've seen sort of in Supersport last year and in the past that with the 636, a lot of people are going for that hybrid where they're sort of swapping the 600 engine with the 636 chassis or vice versa. Is that something you guys are doing, or are you keeping it pure 636?
Yeah, fully 636. I don't think the hybrid way is the way to go, really. I think maybe you can get a little bit lost in what you're doing. You know, as I said, the data from the 600 doesn't match or doesn't work with the 636. So if you're putting a 600 engine into a 636 chassis, I think you can get lost very quickly. So I feel like the bike that we have potential, and as I said, it's going to be even more things to come.
And I mean, and you could quite arguably say as well, the 636 engine is one of the main strengths of the 636, because it's got that pull off the corners.
Yeah, the bike feels really strong. It feels as strong as my R6, which is the R6 is obviously the benchmark in the class and have such a really strong engine. And I got with a few R6s in the Oulton Park test as well. A few of the front lads, and the Kawasaki felt just as strong as that, and matched it like for like. So that was really it was really nice to see and feel that I'm not going to be anyway hampered on speed, because it's very frustrating when you are, because you can only ride a bike so hard, but if you're getting past in the straights everywhere, it's very demoralising. So we won't have that problem this year.
No, absolutely. And I mean, the team you're with as well, you've worked with them in the past before as well, so that should go in your favour.
Yeah, I know Dave really well. Obviously, he's a great guy, and he's got none of the old crew that used to be with him, really. And we've got some new lads around that I know as well and I trust. So I'm really happy with the crew that we have, and I know we can do a good job, and I've got full faith in them, and I'll have full confidence going out on the bike knowing it's prepared right. And there's a great atmosphere in the garage too. It's I don't know. As I said, I've got a great bunch of lads around me. I get on with them all really well. So I really look forward to going to a race weekend racing to see them all and get out on track. Yeah.
Moving back to sort of to last year, you go on the Superbike. I mean, how was 2020 for you? Just off as a start.
A bit crazy, really. It was a bit all over the place. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I think you might have just dropped out for a second.
It was a bit of a crazy year, really. It was a bit all over the place. I didn't know which way it was going to go. Everything was sort of up in the air. One minute I had a ride, the next minute I didn't, and I had another ride. It was just a bit crazy. And then obviously with the whole COVID situation as well, made stuff even more complicated.
You started the year with the tag team, didn't you? It seemed like you were having a lot of brake problems at the start of the year. Was you and Dan both having brake fade, was it?
A little bit, yeah. There was a few other little issues here and there, but yeah, like I felt like the Yamaha was a good bike. Obviously, they had an underlying issue in the team with the chatter problems during the race, but it definitely wasn't something I was prepared to give up on. I wanted to keep working and try and fix the solution, but the team didn't want to do that, and they pulled out and left me with no ride for the year, which wasn't ideal, to say the least.
You had some good you had some good results with the RAF team towards the end of the year. I think you even were pole on one race at Donington. Was you hoping that you would get another chance in Superbikes, or was Supersport always where you wanted to go back to?
Yeah, no, I wanted to stay in Superbike and prove myself in the class, because I know I can run at the front of it, given the right bike and the right team with the right winter testing program, and to get comfortable on something. I suppose I just had to jump straight on the RAF bike and straight out into a race, really, which was tough, but I really enjoyed it. And as you said, we had some great results on the bike and really enjoyed riding for the team, but it just wasn't possible to stay there for Superbike for this year, really, with funding that the team couldn't secure, really, to run 2 Superbikes. So my best option was to come back to Supersport, really, and Kawasaki are quite involved in the deal. As I said, it's a 2-year deal for when the Supersport Championship I get to step back up to the Superbike. So I'm pretty happy with where I am at the minute.
Yeah.
Are you sort of dead set and focused on trying to get back into the Superbike class in the future?
Yeah, definitely. It's the top level, obviously, in the UK, and as I said, I feel like once I've got the right package, I can run at the front no problem, and I can be a regular podium finisher and challenge for a championship.
Of course, I mean, starting off a year on one bike, especially such a compact year that was last year, and then having to switch manufacturers, it's not the ideal way that you wanna go into it. But you had a couple of BSB dips in the past as well, I think.
A couple of dips. What do you mean by that?
Did you?
In the.
He means. I think he meant had a go, not bad times.
Slipped on.
Yeah, with 2015 on the WD-40, Kawasaki wasn't a bad year at all for my first year in the class. We had some good top 10s and ran at the front and stuff like that, and challenged for podiums. 2016, the bikes got stolen, and fair to say we never got the same bike back, and we had to start from scratch then at a different crew, and things didn't really work out. And I was pushing the bike past its limits all the time, what it was capable of, and you can only stay on it for a bike so long, pushing it past its limits. And I was just getting injured every single weekend. I had broken bones the whole year. I don't know if I ever rode the bike when I wasn't injured. So 2016 I ended up walking away from it then towards the end of the year, just because for my health and for my life, really.
You also had some, a lot of good results over in World Championship in the World Supersport category as well. Would you ever consider going back there?
Yeah, it's a championship I really like. Some great racing on there at the World Supersport weekend in Aragon. It's a really competitive championship, and I wouldn't rule out if I won the Supersport Championship to move to World Supersport or up to Superbike. I'd sort of value them both pretty level, and I'd be happy with either one if I could get there.
I mean, you did very well there in the past. I mean, there's not many British riders there at the moment, though. There's only a handful, and not as many as up the front as we used to see. And why do you think that is? It's
too expensive to get to World Supersport. The money that the teams are asking is absolutely ridiculous for some reason. It's gone through the roof, and also you've all your travel on top of that as well, and accommodation, which is massive, obviously. To travel the world, it costs a lot too. So I think the funding is the biggest thing. I think that's maybe likes why you didn't see, say, Rory Skinner or Brad Jones go to World Supersport, because the money that the teams are looking for is extortion, really.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? Has that always been an issue, or is it something that's only come about recently? Because obviously, I mean, you had a couple of seasons yourself there.
It's always been quite expensive, but it just seems to have nearly doubled or tripled in the last few years for some reason. And there's not a lot of riders getting paid to ride in the championship. So people obviously don't see it as a good option anymore. And as I said, we have to raise that much money for 1 year, and if things don't go well, you have to raise the same sort of money again. It's just a massive amount of pressure and hard work to get there.
I mean, obviously it's hard to know really, but I mean, do you think there's a way out of that? Is there, what would you think would be the way out of that if there was one?
the way out of World Supersport.
Yeah, the sort of the way to bring the costs down.
I don't see any way, really. The only way is if I don't know, the teams start looking for less money, but I don't see that happen anytime soon. I don't see what's going to bring it down unless Dorna, which obviously they run World Superbike and MotoGP, don't they? If they started putting some funding in place to get riders from UK and Ireland into the championship, I see that's the only way I can see. If they give the teams an incentive to sign these riders, that's the only way I see the price coming down for people to go there.
Yeah, it's a difficult issue because obviously, I mean, things need to be paid for. Do you know what I mean? Like the team it's got a lot of things they need to pay and need to get sorted, and you know, and a lot of that money comes from riders as well. But at the same time, if you want to become a professional rider and you're doing that at such a high level, at the same time you expect, you know, in most sports, at that sort of level, you expect to have free rides or to be paid. So it's a hard balance because obviously things still need to be paid for at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. It's motorcycle racing is strange and really, and it doesn't really work out fair for the rider most of the time because you go to a team and bring a fortune or you're not getting paid, but everyone else in the garage is getting paid, but you're the one risking your life and you're not getting paid. So it doesn't work out the best for the rider sometimes, but I suppose you just have to weigh all the options up on which is the best championship for you to ride in and what sort of stage of your life you're at really too.
For sure, and I mean, I suppose that's why British Superbikes is, because it's like you say, you hold it at the same level that you hold World Supersport. So it's why sort of it's not an easier step, but sort of a more viable step, if that makes sense. Yeah,
more enticing of a step really, because in the amount of money you have to bring and the less travel and. You know, the British Superbike Championship's a great championship and the amount of fans that you have every weekend and all that sort of stuff. So there's a massive atmosphere that goes with the British Championship too. So, yeah, both of them have their pluses and minuses, but you just have to weigh up which ones work out best for you, really, yeah.
Sure. And now we're seeing with Jake Dixon, who's come out of BSB and now over in Moto2 as well. I mean, if he does well, that could be very good for BSB rider because that could open a door as well. Do you think that's a route that riders could start going down?
Yeah, Moto2 is obviously another really expensive championship to get into. I think he done really well to come from British Superbike to get onto Moto2 and finally got himself a good ride there, and now he's at the front. But like, if you go there on a not so good package or not so good bike and you don't prove yourself in the first year, you're probably gone back out the door again and back to British Championship. So it's a really tough one, and I suppose you just need a bit of luck and timing on your side to make it work for you.
No, for sure. Well, before we let you go, I think Jay's just prepared a few quick-fire questions that he's got for you.
I didn't have the quick-fire ones are going to be for Rory, but we can change for Ryan, but we can change them up a bit. I'm going to start by something. Apart from the Tommy Hill, John Hopkins race, you have got the second most views on YouTube in a British Superbike race. I guess you know which one that probably is going to be.
I have no idea.
You must know. The race, it started off wet and then dried out. Were you in Alistair Seeley at Brands Hatch? That race has had 4 million views on YouTube. Anyway, I'm guessing. 4 million? Pardon?
4 million's a lot.
Yeah, that race had 4 million views on YouTube. You have to check it out after the race. Obviously, it was a weird race anyway because it started raining. It didn't get stopped because they declared it a wet race. But obviously, there was a bit of fisticuffs between you and Alistair at the end. Was that something that had been brewing for a while, or was that just a few dirty moves in that race?
It was only brewing for 10 years, yeah.
I can see why it happened. From watching it, I thought it was because when you both crossed the line, he kind of pushed you towards the curve a little bit. Was that what it was?
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
So, it was an excellent race. Though I don't know if you've watched it back, but it was an excellent race to watch.
Of course, I've watched it back. Yeah.
Yeah. So quick fire questions. Would you take a World Superbike title or a MotoGP win?
World Superbike title.
Oh, that's very against the odds. When you were growing up, who was your idol? Tarmac idol, shall we say? I don't know if you came from motocross.
No, Tarmac. Probably have to be Rossi.
Yeah. If you ever had the opportunity, would you go race on the roads, Isle of Man, Northwest?
No.
No chance.
I've been to the Northwest and really enjoyed the atmosphere and the racing, and I say to myself, maybe I wouldn't mind giving this a go, but then you see it absolutely lashing rain with oil spills everywhere and the speed they have to do, and I'm like, do you know what, I'm glad I'm standing here watching it, but I've massive respect for the guys that do it. But
that's exactly the same answer what Steve Brogan, he said if they didn't ride in the rain at the Northwest, he said he'd do it, but he said he just, if it's treacherous conditions, he just said he wouldn't even bother going out, and teams probably wouldn't like that.
No, you'd be sacked straight away.
When it comes to training, what sort of stuff do you do? Are you a pedal bike runner?
I'm more pedal bike due to injuries, due to ankle injuries and feet injuries, but with the lockdown and gyms being closed, there's only so much cycling you can do, so I've started back running again.
Yeah. Also, do you have a road bike license, and what bike do you have if you do?
I don't have either.
No?
No.
Oh, there you go. Car, what car do you drive?
An Audi A7.
An Audi A7, oh. Very grown up. I think that's about everything from me, Tristan. I didn't really have them set up for Jack. I had them set up for Ryan.
Oh, sorry. Did I catch you out on that one? I mean, most of the quickfire questions you tend to ask are all the same questions anyway. So I thought you'd be able to translate it.
No, I was going to ask Ryan if he had a go in an RAF jet yet, but I'm guessing he hasn't.
I bet he gets asked that all the time, though.
Yeah. Did you get the opportunity, Jack? Because obviously you were there for a little while.
No.
No. Would you go up in one if you did have the chance?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's something on my bucket. There you go. That's something I normally ask, don't I? Away from racing, what is top of your bucket list?
To be the best father that I can be for my daughter.
Oh, excellent answer. Excellent answer. Thank you, Jack, for all your answers.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming on. We wish you the best of luck for this season. We'll be watching for sure. Hopefully we can see that Kawasaki on the top step.
You will see it on the top step.
Perfect. Awesome. Confidence. Take care. Thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Cheers. Thanks, lads. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack, and thank you for still staying with us, sending in your questions and comments. Apologies that we've not been able to get to many of them tonight, because partly I've been busy sort of hammering this microphone, getting it to work. The irony, mostly because
because you always give us a lot of grief for having not working microphones.
But tonight you do actually have a good microphone, both of you, so well done.
25 quid well spent, that's all I'm going to say.
Don't give away what
this is top notch broadcast technology.
Mine was free actually. So,
thank you very much to Jack and to Ryan and the other guests as well on tonight's Superbike show. Also, we was hoping to get Christian Chamberlain on tonight's show. Unfortunately, we couldn't make that happen. He's busy doing something else, but for future shows we'll look to get him and maybe even Michael Howarth as well back on the show. I think we're just still preparing to get Michael Howarth back on the show. We need a couple of weeks run up, that'll be always interesting. So your big sort of takeaway moments from that interview there, Jay? What were your sort of biggest thoughts from hearing what Jack had to say?
How well he's gelled with the 636 so quickly. like Tristan has said, we haven't really seen that bike up the front properly in Supersports yet. Like I said, it's been a bit of a weird bike over the last few years. We're putting 600s engines in it, or 636 engines in the old 600 frame. So it'd be good to see.
He was dead set against that as well, wasn't he? He was.
Yeah.
I know a lot of riders like it, but he was dead.
It's something he's set in stone that he's going to stick with, and from what his times have been early in testing, it looks like he's going to be able to make it work. So
yeah, for sure, and that'll be interesting to see. Because a lot of riders have been moaning about it.
The Supersport class has been a bit, I'm not going to say spread out, but you've had it's kind of been the Appleyard bikes and then everyone else. Where this year we're going to have obviously Jack on the Kawasaki, we're going to have the 2 Triumphs, and we're going to have the Appleyard bikes. I think it's going to be maybe back to old form for the Supersport 600 class.
It's weird with the Triumphs though, because they might take a little bit of time, because obviously that's a brand new project. I mean, they could just go and start winning straight away. I wouldn't be completely surprised if they did.
I've got a sneaky suspicion that they're going to be up there rather fast.
Well, you know what we need? We need some predictions about.
My early prediction was the Triumph to win the championship.
It's a risky prediction, but I think my early prediction was Bradley Peary, and I'm going to stick with it.
I'm still going to stick with Carl Smith.
Okay, interesting. Well, there's I think the BSB, the Superbike game, or the predictions game, or the app, I think that's coming back again for this season. I'll have to check though with the guy that's running it, but it was I think the official BSB game of last year, and we've been promoting it for a couple of years anyway. It's a good little app, and you can win prizes. Hopefully they'll bring it back again this season for 21.
I didn't know about this, so I want to play.
Yes, you can win, and if you predict a certain amount of things, it's just like a normal fantasy league, basically. In each round, if you get your predictions right, you could win anything from a case of beer to some tools to some merch or whatever's going that particular week, and it's all free. It's all free to play. So hopefully, yes, they do bring that back. I'll check up on that in the next week. But yeah, that should be interesting. Interesting to hear that Jack, for some reason in my mind, he I don't know, I just had him down as like someone who might have been interested into doing some road racing. I don't know.
Well, he is Irish, so quite a few of them do the racing.
Racism.
Racists. I never.
Is it?
No.
Well, I mean, moving.
No, at the end of the day, they're the best road racers in the world, aren't they? So.
Yeah. And most road racing is over in Ireland as well, isn't it? Because I mean, outside of.
Although Oliver's Mount started racing again at the weekend, I think.
Yes.
With a event I've forgotten the name of. Oops. It wasn't
the Spring Cup.
It wasn't the Gold Cup. It wasn't the
Spring Cup.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Bradley Hicks was commentating, because I saw a thing on his timeline, on my timeline. I was just like, oh. And then it was gone, and I forgot about it. And now I remembered. Moving on. But yeah, no, more road racing in England, please. Thank you. Let's petition the government or something to do something.
Well, they were meant to. There was meant to be one in the Isle of Wight, weren't it? But obviously things delayed.
Yeah, there was talk a couple of years ago about an event in Wales.
Yeah, that got written off. That did.
Yeah, it got quite far down the line in planning, but yeah. Anyway, don't know why I'm talking about this.
Then we can have some road pit bike races that Jay can compete in.
That is
an actual thing?
Nora Sport. I know Oliver's Mount is technically not a road race, but they are thinking of doing pit bike racing around Oliver's Mount. It would be a bit difficult because that hill is a bit steep, so I think we'd be going down the gears.
It'll be blowing up
the hill.
A bit steep. You can go around it on Google Earth. Actually, you even get like tired just going up on Google Maps.
Yeah, there is talks of pit bike racing at Oliver's Mount, which I will do just to say I've done it, but I can't imagine it's going to be very fun on a pit bike.
So anyway, since you guys have been talking about everyone else racing and riding and stuff like that, we did have a brief sort of chinwag just before we came on air, talking about Jay's shattered dreams on his pit bike season. And
it's not shattered dreams. It just hasn't gone to plan at the start.
Okay. Well, I mean, call it what you want.
It's just hard times, Jay. You'll get through them.
As you like to call it, Lester, it's a learning year.
Learning year, a big, massive learning year.
You've only done one round yet. Don't write off the whole year.
So tell us, so far in your learning year then, Jay, reigning pit bike champion, of course, I think. Yeah. So tell us how things are going. You did one round at Lid, at Fab. Didn't go to plan for you, but and unfortunately, round 3 in the championship has just been cancelled this week,
which I'm actually I'm pleased about. Because
we're not.
They didn't really go to plan. I was expecting to be up the front straight away.
Didn't you win a race though?
Yeah, only in the old man class, the moto team class.
Oh, you can't call it that.
Yeah, I can't. The moto team class, I did win some races, but the
is that because you're an old man now?
Yeah, well, I'm 30 years old now, so
30?
I am the old man class.
Okay.
So the 140 class didn't go well. Testing seemed to go well on the bike, but when it came to the race pace, I feel really good on the bike. That's the problem, but the timesheets just don't show it at the moment. So we'll be getting some more track days in before what will be the next round at Red Lodge now, which will probably be a double header. You two will be happy to hear about.
That's not confirmed. And they kind of like those double header. There was a double header at Lid, and it basically killed us because Tristan was talking, and Gareth as well, the Fab commentators, were talking for 60 races. And,
I'm going to come in and help out a bit, so you'll be all right.
Oh, for free? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll
yeah, come on in if you want. We'll put you on 40 of those 60 races. That'll be good.
All right, you can go over to Tristan's race, and now I'm done.
So Tristan, you touched upon it a little bit earlier, I think, with Zach and George, but I think you self-identified that you're not going to be one of the front runners this year. Why?
I mean, anything could change. I could just drop 5 seconds between now and the first round.
But it's already in your mind, though. So why?
Well, this bang
being
on the
realistic,
head might have made him go faster. Now you don't know.
Probably there was probably too much in there, and now it's all cleared it all out. Being realistic, we've got a bit of work to do, and I mean, it was a learning year last year, and this year working alongside Gino, same team as George actually. So George, well, hopefully, he might help me out a little bit as well. But no, working with Gino this year, and he's helping me out massively. So I mean, the main thing about this year is I just want to see that solid improvement, and although I might not be able to stick with George and Zach just yet, if we can do it by the end of the season or next season, that's the plan. That's the idea.
With that mindset, starting out on a negative, you'll never get to the top.
It's not a negative. I just know where I am.
Okay, but and
I know where I want to.
So how does it work then in terms, because obviously you're both like you've got your individual deals and whatever that consists of and stuff, but will there be any sharing of data or anything? Or
I mean, there's not really a lot of data to share, to be honest, in Stock 6, because we don't use telemetry or anything like that. I mean, the team know what suspension he's running, what settings he's running in the suspension. They know what I'm running, and they will tell me, and we will base it. I mean, even at Alton we went a bit closer because I started quite sort of almost a completely different place to George, and we ended up actually going closer to George. George's set up as we got quicker with the bike. And stuff like gearing, I mean, that's the only real data, to be honest, you really use. And I'll learn off having a quick teammate anyway, because a lot of the time we go out to the pits at the same time, and I'll see what he's doing, and having someone in the garage that
is he faster than me?
But you can see why he's faster than you, because he's right next to you. So it does help. It does help having a quick teammate, and I mean, obviously having Gino Rear as well helping out and showing me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right.
So what's Gino like? I mean, we know. I mean, he's been on the show before. He's a really nice guy, and I mean, we know what he's done in the past and stuff.
Yep.
But what's he actually like? I suppose, is he more like a boss, or is he more of like a motivational sort of figure for you in the team, or does he really crack the whip and be like, come on now, you're like 3/10 off your teammate, you've got the same gearings and same set, just like, does he properly sort of kick your ass?
No, not essentially. I mean, it's more of a working environment in that he'll sit down. He'll go trackside, which is one thing I do really like about it. Is he'll go trackside. He'll film me in a couple of corners, a couple of areas, and then bring it back to me and show me what I was doing here, and then explain how I could go better. Because a lot of the time, I can see. Yeah, like stuff like that. Yeah, don't do that. But no, he's really useful to work with because you can just sort of. He'll come in. It's always objective. It's how do we move forward? How do we get quicker? And that's the sort of environment I wanted to be in. So, I'm glad that I'm in an environment with a team that gives me answers on how to move forward. Because a lot of the time, as a rider, I think one thing I struggled with last year was I knew what I needed to improve. I just didn't know how to improve it. Whereas now I'm in an environment that will teach me and show me how to improve the things I want to improve on.
I suppose he might have that extra experience of transmitting feedback to people, being on previously been on the world stage and stuff. And what does it compare like being in that team this year to when you were in the World Superbike paddock with those teams? It's
similar. In a way, it's similar, and in a way, it's different. Every team works in a different way, really. When I did the sort of World Supersport 300, it was a very professional team, very professional environment. They had the big truck and the names on the side of the truck and all that, and the telemetry and all the flashy stuff. But they didn't have, and in a way, the Ready for Racing team do have that as well. They have, they like to look professional. They like to look good and have a good outfit. But in a way, they're sort of better because, well, no, they are better. Just being, being blunt with it is a better team to be in because they have knowledge. As well as the World Championship team that I was in did, but this is working with a rider who's going to who's still riding, who's riding on the same tracks on the same days, who can be given feedback on that, helping out with training, nutrition. It's a lot of things packed into one big team, or one big package rather. So it's slightly different to the World Championship team in that respect, but it's probably in the UK anyway. It's the most similar thing I've had compared to a team like that, but. Both were great in their own ways, but for what I need right now, I believe I'm in the perfect place. Okay, just interesting to know from an outsider's point of view. Really, what's involved, what's in your head.
It's a credit to Gino as well that he's doing all this, and
he
riding himself
so busy.
Well.
Absolutely. He'll be talking to us, doing a brief or a debrief or something, and then he'll run over to his garage and hop on Superbike and go out and
ride. He's also riding
Suzuki. Yeah, so he keeps himself busy. So fair play to him.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I suppose at some point we'll have to get Gino back on the show, at least a couple of times, and it's going to be an interesting season. It's going to be an interesting show. Considering that, Jay, you're going to be looking after Max Cook this year, for those who don't know, and
I've totally forgot to mention about Free Tech. That's going really well as well. We're third in the championship at the moment. I totally forgot to mention that. So yeah, that's all going well. I'm going to have to quit pit bikes and just do that full time now.
No.
Your manager says no.
Don't worry, I'll still be at Fab meetings at the end of the day. I've still got to do my job there, haven't I?
Commentating.
Riding.
Yeah, social media guru at Fab. Your next question, by the way, I'm still editing them. So get off my back.
I wasn't even going to pick you about it. It's
You're
the
thinking about it. Anyway, it's interesting. Thank you for that, Tristan, because I don't often get to grill you on such things in front of the camera. Jay, you're still riding and whatnot and looking after Max Cook, who's also in the 600 class?
Yeah, we're all in everything.
Junior Superstock, sorry.
I think he's finding it maybe. I don't know. I think he did expect it to be. It is a bit of a leap going from a Moto 3 to a stock 600. It's a totally different bike to ride.
Tristan,
but yeah,
his time circuits.
Yeah, and he's been off the BSB circuits for a little while now. So I think he's going well, and I've still got high expectations. I think he's going very under the radar at the moment, which is maybe a good thing. But I think come first round, he'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, we did have him on the show towards the end of the season. I can't remember, November or December or something or other.
Yeah, I was on then.
Yeah, I know. I was there.
Was you?
Yeah, I was. It was interesting from then. I think he didn't know at the time what he was doing this year.
Yeah.
I think, and now he does. Interesting, maybe we'll get him back on or something and ask him halfway through the season, maybe, just because for a lot of people whose first season is this year in something like 600 or the junior super stock, it'll be interesting because for people like Max Cook and others whose first season it is, pressure is basically off for them. It's a learning year. But for people like Tristan, pressure is very much on. So it'd be interesting to see, the psychological dynamic and see if we can get people on the show and be like, knowing that, someone barged someone off the track at the weekend.
Haven't actually seen Max on track yet, actually, at all.
No, like I said, he has really gone under radar so far. I think even without seeing him on track, when you go out to Spain and you do the Moto 3 and that, you kind of you go quiet, don't you, really? People don't really talk about you and that. I mean, you never really hear I know how good of what Scott Ogden is as a rider, but in BSB you very rarely hear his name spoke about, do you? So
look at Tom Booth Amos as well. Has become the first British rider to ever win the World Supersport World Supersport 300 race, and no one's really talking about it, really.
Yeah, so when
we're talking about it.
We did.
Yeah, we did. But you're right. You just, when you're not in the BSB paddock, your name kind of goes silent. So I think hopefully Max can back it up with some really good results, and I believe he can do so.
Well, with you helping out, what is it you're actually doing again?
I'm basically a gopher. No,
you're taking the blame for when it doesn't go well.
Just I'm not stripping engines down or things like that, but just helping around the pits and that, really. Wheel changes, pit boards.
Great girl.
Basically,
Fair enough.
Yeah, just a helper, basically.
Okay, good stuff. So there you go. Watch out on either Quest or Eurosport for the Junior Super Stock. I'm not going to get it. Just change it back to 600. It's just easy. Junior Super Stock. What's the 1,000 called? Is that just called Super?
Just Super Stock, I think.
Super Stock.
National Super Stock.
And not to be confused with Super Sport or Junior Super Sport or Junior Super Stock.
I think that's going to be nearly as competitive as the Superbike class this year. The amount of riders that are in that stock 1,000 class this year.
Yeah,
I think there's more than 10 riders that you can't choose who you think would win.
Solid teams as well.
Yeah,
and the return of Bournemouth Kawasaki as well with Luke Mossy.
Luke Moss,
back.
And he's been going well. He's for his first few times on the bike, his times have been good. So obviously you've got Chrissy, who's the champion. You've got Keith Farmer. That's going to be a real tough championship.
I've heard chats around the paddock and a couple of interviews I've done in the past. I've heard a lot of people really sing the praises of the Aprilia, and a lot of people actually go as far as saying it's the best bike on the grid.
Yeah,
and
so obviously
I think now having Fraser on that is going to be interesting. So not taking anything away from Rollo. Last year he did an amazing job on it, but he looks, I mean, it's only, they haven't even raced yet, but he looks to be struggling a bit more on the Kawasaki compared to the Aprilia.
Yeah.
And now Fraser's jumped on the Aprilia and he looks really strong.
Yeah, God knows.
We've not even had a race yet, but
I'm going to put
but you can't really take too much from testing. Lester is right, but I think the Aprilia will do well. I'll put a prediction on that.
I think my prediction was Keith Farmer to win the championship. I'm going to stick with that.
We're going to do official predictions, and we're going to put some, whatever little money we've got scraped together because we're all poor. Maybe I don't know.
I can put a used set of tyres down or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, thanks.
Really used.
They're not going to fit on the pit bike.
That's why I was like talking about the predictions app, the Superbike Challenge, previously, and I'll have to check out whether that is actually coming back. I hope it does because it's a good game. Anyway, so yeah, moving on then from BSB to MotoGP briefly, and there's a couple of things to discuss. Did we discuss earlier in the show? I can't think. We've talked about so much stuff. Anyway, Miller signing. If you didn't know, Tristan, tell us more.
Yeah, Miller's signed for another season with Ducati. Not massively unpredictable, considering his form lately. Of course, he's winning back-to-back races. That's going to be his fifth season with the manufacturer, of course. Second season in factory colours. Spent 3 seasons over with Pramac. I think it. I mean, I don't know what you guys, but I think it's well deserved. And I mean, the Ducati team at the moment just look so strong with both riders, Miller and Bagnaia, which sort of makes you think. I mean, if you're Dovizioso or Petrucci that was on the bike last year, it's just you sort of think maybe were they the right riders for the bike? Because I mean, the 2 riders that are on the bike now are flying.
I think Dovi probably turned that bike into the bike it was, because he was with Ducati a real long time, weren't he? And he was with them when it was, I'm not going to say a terrible bike, but it wasn't a competitive bike when Dovi got there, and when he left it was a front running bike, or maybe not so much in the last year, because I think maybe Dovi had fell out of love with the team in the last year.
I think that's more what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the Ducati at the moment is the bike to be on. After the first round at Qatar, because my prediction was for Jack to win the championship, and it didn't look like it was a good prediction at the time, but he obviously kept it quiet, and he was obviously suffering from this arm pump problem, which he's got sorted, and since he's got that sorted, he's been on the top step twice, so he's shown good. But
it's only 4th in the championship though.
It's not just been Miller, has it? Because obviously, Wojciech got a podium at Qatar, didn't he, on the Pramac bike? Forgot his name. A rookie rider.
Jorge Martin.
Yeah. So that was an awesome ride, and he led with about 3 laps to go, didn't he? He led all race. So
and Zarco looking strong as well on it.
Yeah. So the Ducati is definitely the bike to be on, and I think is it this weekend at Mugello? I think they're going to clear up. To be honest with you, it's home track.
Well, we'll get into your predictions.
Yeah, talking about predictions. Talking about the next race and predictions. Then I guess. I'm going to gracefully bow out of any predictions, only because for the past couple of races, I've been so busy doing other things. I haven't actually watched. I've took my eye off the ball, if I'm being honest. So I don't know the form. I don't feel confident in thinking, so-and-so looks great, I'll put money on him. And I did actually have some money. I did a big accumulator at the start of the season for race 1, because it was on the same weekend as Formula 1, and I did a thing with yada yada. I almost won £70, but I didn't. Anyway, hey-ho. Jay, your predictions then for the next race.
Where are we starting? MotoGP, Moto2?
Let's start in Moto3.
I'm going to jot them down as you say them, so next week we can see how wrong you were.
Yeah.
Okay. So what, we going podium, are we?
Yeah, top 3 in reverse order.
Winner.
Okay. I'm going to go. It's so hard in Moto3 at Mugello because anyone could win it when they go on to the start and finish straight, really, can't they? It's going to just be a slipstream race.
Pick one.
So we're going to pick 3 out of the hat. We're going to go Finati in 3rd.
Okay, let me write that down. Hold on. Okay, carry on.
Darren Binder 2nd.
Binder. Got it.
And we're going to go for the superstar kid. What's his name?
Acosta.
Is it Acosta, yeah.
Costa.
Binder, actually, he was the one that actually
Brave.
cost me the £70 because I'd bet on him to win. And I think in the was it the second race of the year? He came second, just behind someone. I forgot who he was.
No, I think it was the first race he came second, then he won the second race from the pit lane, didn't he, I believe?
Something.
Madness.
So, yeah, Binder. But anyway, yeah. So
I think
go on.
Moto3 is a lottery at Mugello.
Moto 2, go on. Lowe's is going to win. That's what you're going to predict.
No, I'm not going to say Lowe's to win.
Oh,
You don't want to
Lowe's.
jinx it.
I'm going to go Gardner to win.
Yeah. Carry on.
You don't like
Is it the guy who won at Le Mans? Is it Fernandez?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go him for second.
Fernandez. Okay.
I'm trying to think of an Italian bloke.
Does he have to be Italian?
bloke.
How about the one on the,
What about
on the
Lowe's?
VR46 bike that's really quick and was one of the favourites for the championship?
What's his name? I forgot.
Did really well in Moto 3.
Sam Lowe's.
Riding for Valentino Rossi.
I don't know the name.
Just say a name, because you might be right. You don't know.
Go on then. We'll stick with British Pride. I think it'll crash, but we'll put Lowe's in third.
Wow, what
I'm going
confidence.
to write as a side note, P.S.
We'll crash.
Lowe's will crash.
So he'll crash and finish third. Is that what you're saying?
No, I can't remember the Italian bloke's name.
If he crashes and finishes third, then fair play to him.
I think you deserve a prize if he crashes and finishes in third.
No, I don't
Maybe he
think
crashes over the line.
Right, the big one, MotoGP.
Yeah.
MotoGP. Oh, I'm going to go all Ducati podium if that's possible. So we'll go Zarco third.
You're very similar to my prediction.
Bang Nye second.
Very similar.
Oh, no.
It's all right, carry on.
I'm going to swap them over. I'm going to go Bang Nye for the win, Jack Miller for second.
Okay, now you're even closer.
Okay, so they're your predictions for Moto GP 2 and 3. Tristan, you have
Already thought it through.
Considered it. So starting off with Moto 3 reverse order, who have you chose?
Moto 3, I've gone for third place for Andrea Migno on the... I don't know what he's riding now, but because he won at Mugello a few years ago. Acosta in second, I've gone for the one that won everything in his rookie year. And Suzuki in first on the Simoncelli 58 team bike.
Okay. So I'm just listening. It's what I do.
Yeah, I can
I'm not
hear
on the
it.
screen. I'm just like listening and watching myself. No, I'm actually just seeing if anyone's popping a predictions in also as well. Kyle Winter said Bezecchi as well, I guess, for
Moto 2.
earlier. So who's your Moto 2 predictions then, Tristan?
Starting from the bottom.
Yeah.
Gardner third, so that's who you put to win, Jay. I've put Lowe's in second, so I've put him even higher than you, and I predict that he won't crash. And Bezecchi's going to win it.
Ooh.
He needs.
Is this
to
the
win
one
it.
I couldn't remember the name of?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, Marco. It is Marco, isn't it? Yeah, Marco Bezecchi.
Bezecchi.
And Moto GP then, Tristan. What have you got?
I've gone for an all Ducati podium as well. I've gone a bit generic, although I did actually predict it before, Jay. So I've gone for Miller in third, Zarco in second, and Bagnaia to win. So we've both predicted the same winner.
I've just got a feeling because Petrucci did it a few years ago that someone else will get their first MotoGP win. So it could be Zarco or Bagnaia.
Interesting.
I think it'll be Bagnaia. He's owed a win.
Yeah,
I'm saying that because I'd like it to be Bagnaia.
Did you the post race Le Mans? Zarco was trying so hard to look happy, but you could tell he wasn't happy. He was second. He was just like holding that French flag up with Quartararo, and you can see Quartararo was well happy with third place. But
he
can
looked
tell
ecstatic.
Zarco's just really fed up of coming second.
And if you haven't heard the news, then you've been under a bit of a rock. But it was announced the other week, whenever it was announced, the other week, I think, that the British Grand Prix will be live and free on ITV4, which is good news, I guess.
Yeah, the French GP was on ITV4 live as well. I remember.
Yeah,
they're doing a few rounds, I think, aren't they?
They're the only two I know of. But then again, I've not really looked that much into it. But
I'll be able to get rid of my BT subscription soon then, won't I?
Well, if BT are even still going at the end of the year, because they announced that they are looking for investors for their failing TV channel. So why anyone would want to invest in it, I suspect maybe a coalition of people might come in and just tear the media rights apart. So ITV might get MotoGP, hopefully they do, and other people might get the football and yada yada, just take every little bit, and then
there might be some jobs going for me and Tristan.
Can only hope.
Crickets. Silence.
Not if Leicester's sat here talking smack about the TV channels.
I'm just repeating what they said, that they're looking for investors for their TV. It's like saying, well, hey ho, yeah, our product isn't working. Why don't you come and invest? And then obviously nobody's going to invest, because if BT Sport can't make any money.
To be fair, I think BT Sport coverage of the MotoGP is really good.
Oh yeah, the coverage itself is good. There was a couple of comments, I think, that I saw questioning the decision to maybe promote Gavin Emmett up into the lead commentator role after Keith, and not maybe get someone in, perhaps. I don't know.
I think he does a good job.
Yeah, he does a good job. Nothing wrong with it. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there. But Kyle Winter's been on again. Hello, Kyle. Obviously, still tuned into the show, and he was suggesting earlier regarding when we were talking about BSB. I think. BSB predictions or some of the support classes. Chrissy Rouse or Taylor, but Chrissy for the win, he says. And Andrew Mallard has also been on again, and he suggests that Chrissy Rouse will do it again, and also he suggests that you need some spotters as well, Tristan.
Yeah, you too.
I couldn't. I'm busy doing my own thing and busy. Although I will be, you might bump into me at a BSB paddock carrying a camera around or interviewing people. Or you might
swearing
not.
a lot.
I don't swear.
You just get.
I don't swear.
Explicitly angry.
I don't get angry.
No, you don't. To be fair,
I just get extremely stressed when the world is on fire.
Which it always is,
and things stop working.
It definitely wasn't on fire at Snetterton. It was quite the opposite at Snetterton.
Yes. I won't mind telling you, if anybody God, I've started anyway. There was a few expletives at the end of the motocross championship coverage at the weekend when a camera or two stopped working. Anyway, well, I did that bit out of the show. Nobody knows
that never happens.
It wasn't me anyway. Blame Jay. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. It's the Superbike Show. It's Motorsport Radio. And are we back again next week, Tristan? What's going on? I mean,
of course, every week. Every week.
We're on it now.
Every week, you say, for the next 2 weeks?
For the next 2 weeks, at least.
At least the next 2 weeks, every week.
That's if Tristan comes back from Donington unscathed, because obviously that's the day after, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I'll try not to hit my head this time.
Yeah. Well, okay. We're on every week as long as Tristan's in a good mood after his learning weekend.
As long as I don't hit my head, I'll be fine.
Yeah, and even if he does, he'll be talking more gibberish than normal. But don't worry.
You won't notice a difference.
We'll cover for you. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much, guys, and also a big hello to Chris Chamberlain, who I know is also or was tuned in at some point. He'll be on the show hopefully next week. I'll persuade him to come on. That'll be good, and also we'll have lots more guests, and hopefully some more BSB people as well. Whoever we can basically rope into coming on the show live.
Yeah, we're on it, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll basically, if you're riding something, we will be mithering you at some point. Thank you very much for listening. And,
or mither us if you want.
Yeah.
Makes our life easier. Come and ask to be on the show.
I mean, that'd
be nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got something to get off
in
your
touch
chest,
if you want to come on the show,
fallen out with a team and you wanted to have your say. How is Josh Elliott? Then you can get in touch with us. How do people get in touch with us? Social media.
Exactly. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah.
TikTok.
We're on that.
Message us over on TikTok.
Yeah. Keeping it real, kids. Anyway, that's it from the Superbike show. Thank you very much, Tristan and Jay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And good night.
This is Motorsport Radio.